Welcome to 2023 and let's get this started. So, morning brew. Let's see what they tell us today. Good morning and happy new year. It feels great to be back on the keys after the break. Thanks as always for reading. We're grateful that you spend your mornings with us. Fun fact, we're now just as close to the start of 2050 as we are to the start of 1996. That does not sound like fun at all. Look at the year to date. It's like everything is just like, there's no data yet. Like today is literally the first day of the market. How exciting is that? So it says markets. One of the best things about New Year is the opportunity for a fresh slate. Let's hope this empty for now market graphic fills up with more green than in 2022 when the S&P suffered its worst year since the financial crisis of 2008. This year will be a short one for investors since markets were closed yesterday for the New Year's holiday. And like this really sucks. Like if you're new to the market, which a lot of people are in 2020 when people joined in 2022, 2021, like you just got slaughtered. Like you came in thinking the stock market was the best thing ever. And like you went from being the best thing ever to like the worst thing in the world. Like it's in 2008. That's just crazy. So what's happening in the sports world? Bills player collapses mid-game, is in critical condition. That does not sound good at all. Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin is in critical condition at a Cincinnati hospital after he suffered a cardiac arrest in the first quarter of last night's NFL game. According to the Bills, the game, a highly anticipated Monday Night Football matchup between the Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals, was suspended by the league just over an hour after the incident occurred. What happened? After Hamlin took a hard hit while tackling Bengals wide receiver T. Huggins, he stood up for several seconds and then fell to the ground. Medical personnel rushed to attend to Hamlin, administered CPR, and gave him oxygen before he was taken off the field in an ambulance per the ESPN broadcast. During those moments, this went from a sports story to a news story, from a sporting event to a matter of life and death, announcer Joe Buck said on ESPN. Players became emotional on the field, praying together for Hamlin's health. The NFL also drew criticism for its handling of the situation. The ESPN broadcast booth said that shortly after the incident, players were given 5 minutes to warm up before they would restart. Then the coaches of the two teams met and the players left the field. Many sports analysts and fans questioned why it took so long for the NFL to postpone the game, arguing that the players clearly in no condition to resume playing after witnessing Hamlin receive CPR on the field. Big picture, this frightening moment was a reminder of the violence inherent in one of the world's biggest entertainment properties and how the players are, in the end, humans, not just items on a fantasy football roster. And Hamlin appears to be a person who's especially generous. Starting in 2020, Hamlin raised money to run a toy drive for children in his Pennsylvania hometown. In the hours following his collapse, fans found the original GoFundMe for the event. Initially, the goal was $2,500, and have contributed over $3 million in donations. This is really sad, you guys, especially because football, it's such a popular game. Like one of the biggest sports in the country, like the article said. Like, who knows if like they didn't think the situation was as grave as it turned out to be. But thankfully they corrected it, and I mean this doesn't happen often. So I'm pretty sure the NFL, they just didn't know how to respond to this. I mean, if this doesn't happen all the time, how do you respond to it, right? Or does it? I don't know. I'm not a football player. I don't watch football that much, so I don't know if this is something that happens all the time, right? So what are the headlines saying? So, sidelined world leaders make their return. Leftist politician Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, aka Luna, was sworn as Brazil's president on Sunday, returning to the position he once held after defeating incumbent Jair Bolsonaro in a bitter election in October. In Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu was once again sworn as Israel's prime minister after forming the most controversial coalition government in the country's history. Interesting. Times Square attack suspect arrested. A 19-year-old man was charged with attempting to murder police officers after attacking them with a machete in New York Times Square on New Year's Eve. A senior law enforcement official said this man Trevor Bickford, who is believed to have traveled from Maine to New York City to carry out the attack, was motivated by Islamic extremism. Bickford had been reportedly placed on FBI's terrorist watch list per CNN. Wow, this is just the worst thing. I can't even believe that a 19-year-old, like, you're really gonna throw your life away doing something like this on New Year's Eve? Like, I don't know what to say, you guys. The world is very scary, and I can't believe, wow. Tesla's on the struggle bus. The automaker delivered the most vehicles it ever had in a quarter, 405,000 in quarter four, but the 11% jump from Q3 still came up short of expectations. Investors have sent Tesla shares down 54% in the past 3 months due to concern not only from Elon Musk's preoccupation with Twitter, but also signs of softer demand for Tesla cars. Tesla rolled out an year-end 75,500 incentive for some models to juice sales. And now this is very interesting to me because, Elon, and this really sucks for, like, shareholders. Like, it's really unfair that Elon knew the numbers of the Teslas that were being sold, and he was dumping shares on the retail investors. Like, if you're retail and you're still buying Tesla, like, you should be pissed. You should be pissed because, like, this guy made out with a bandit, cashed in shares at a way higher price than what we currently are, and made a lot of money. At the end of the day, I mean, he made more money selling when he did than if he had just held to the prices that Tesla is right now. I think it's like 118 before I started this video. I don't know if it's gone down. We'll see how it opens on the first trading day of the year, but I don't know, you guys. It also would explain the $7,500 incentive for some models. Like, now this makes sense. Like, now we're understanding why Tesla decided to do this. It's because they knew their sales were going to suck. So they were trying to beef up demand before the year. And, I mean, sometimes we don't think about this stuff. That's why it's so important to kind of think into the future. Like, why are they doing this? Why were they releasing this incentive at the end of the year? Because they knew they weren't going to hit the numbers. So if they hadn't released this incentive, what would have happened, right? And I know Tesla, look, you guys, I think Tesla is going somewhere. Tesla's not a car company. My bro has one, and the autopilot, the robot they're working on, Tesla, it's destined, it's going to be better than it is now. I just don't know how long it's going to take for it to get back to where it was, So, you're buying this stock, just make sure you're aware of that, Don't go into any margin trying to go crazy with it. So stocks could languish again in 2023, and this is not what I want to be reading on the first trading day of the year. Stocks are coming off the worst year since 2008 due to investors misjudging how high inflation would soar and the length central banks would go to bring it back down. The headline stat: global equities lost a record $18 trillion in 2002 amid early 300 interest rate hikes from central banks around the world. But not all stocks were clobbered equally by Jerome Powell. High growth tech companies that got a boost from an era of low interest rates got rocked the most in what some are calling the sequel to the bursting of the dot-com bubble in 2000 to 2001. The tech-heavy Nasdaq posted 4 straight negative quarters for the first time since that crash. Others survived unscathed. The energy sector soared 60% almost last year thanks to a boost from surging oil prices. ExxonMobil finished the year as the 8th most valuable public company in the U.S. despite starting 2022 outside of the top 25. So if I would have known this, I would have sold everything and just went into ExxonMobil. Like, imagine to have a 60% return. So if you would have invested 10K, you would have had 20. Like, that's one of the things. That's why sometimes you got to think critically into the future. What's happening? Why is this happening? What sector will benefit the most? And wow, like, imagine buying some call options when the stock was low at the beginning of the year. And damn, those would have been printing money. So what will this year hold? No one really knows, but analysts generally think stocks will go sideways, weighed down by some rate hikes and a potential recession. The average Bloomberg projection for the S&P at the end of 2023 is 4,009 points. The index closed 2022 at 3,800. Another year down would be extremely rare. The S&P has dropped for 2 consecutive years in just 4 instances since 1928. But remember, you guys, this year was different. Last year was different. We went through something that we have never gone through. So keep that in mind. It's never happened, right? Since 1928. But that was almost 100 years ago. Maybe we're destined to return to those times. So, the week ahead, new year, new Congress, the 118th Congress will convene today in a switch up from the last 2 years. The GOP has control of the House, but the Dems retain the majority in the Senate. Some key things to watch: whether Kevin McCarthy will be chosen as Speaker of the House today, other investigations to be launched by Republican lawmakers, and what happened to GOP Rep. George Santos, who admitted to falsifying a significant amount of his background. Vegas Electronics Show kicks off. CES, the biggest consumer tech show on the calendar, will return in full force starting on Thursday. Companies in this hard-hit sector will show off their futuristic gadgets, some useful, others gimmicky. I can't wait to see this. CES is always interesting. Spring break in China. On Sunday, China will no longer require travelers entering the country to quarantine and will also loosen restrictions on outbound travel. It's the latest step in China's chaotic reopening in a bid to revive its economy that has unleashed a massive COVID wave. Everything else, Pio's coffin will be carried through the streets of Santos, Brazil today before the late soccer legend is buried. A 24-hour public wake was held yesterday. The December jobs report is on Friday, and Northern Californians who have already been pummeled with extensive flooding recently have been warned about another powerful atmospheric river that will dump even more rain on the region. And as a person that lives in California, we need all the water we can get. Keep the water coming. And what is this? We got more, you guys. Today's episode is long. Key performance indicators. Crypto implodes, yacht seizures, tech stack wipeouts. It was a hard out there for a billionaire last year. The world's 500 richest people lost a collective 1.4 trillion in net worth in 2022. According to Bloomberg, due to Tesla's stock wipeout, Elon Musk became the first person in history to lose more than 200 billion. We plan to have a clear-eyed, transparent view what went wrong while we're so fresh in everyone's memories. That's about Sam, right? Look at this guy. He's so happy. He made out like a bandit. Southwest Airlines CEO Andrew Watterson told employees that he and CEO Bob Jordan are going to launch a post-mortem investigation into the airline's holiday season's meltdown after canceling thousands of flights and stranding customers and their luggage last week. The company said yesterday it had returned to a normal schedule. You know what happened? They overbooked. And they should just bring down the amount of flights during the holiday season. No one wants to work that season anyway. Like, make people travel earlier and plan out more accordingly. Nobody should be traveling on the 24th, like the day before Christmas. Like, people should start traveling a couple days before and work that into their schedule. I mean, simple solutions. Russia issued a rare acknowledgement that 63 of its soldiers had been killed by Ukraine in the New Year's Eve strike on barracks in the occupied city of Donetsk. Twitter is being sued for not paying $136,000 in rent in its San Francisco office space. Maritina has been diagnosed with both breast and throat cancer. In a statement, the tennis legend said the prognosis was good. The actor Jeremy Renner is in critical condition but stable following a snow plowing accident on Sunday. And wow, there was a lot of news for the first trading day of the year. Let's hope everything goes a lot better than 2022. And stay safe out there and protect your cash, you guys.